Hello everyone and welcome. We're finally here, guys. Finally got our hands on Horizon Forbidden West. Now I have a lot to talk about with regards to this game, so before we get started, please remember to leave a like if you like the video, subscribe for more, and yeah, stay tuned guys, because there's plenty of games coming out this year and I'm going to be covering a lot of them. Now, before we get properly started into this, I will say that I'm literally only in the beginning first area of the game, Chain Scrape, just because I've only been playing it for like 2-3 hours max, and I'm taking my time with it, to be honest. So I haven't got stuff like the Shield Wing yet, or I'm guessing there's flying mounts at some point or another. I haven't got those either. I'm basically So on the top right hand corner of the map, that's where that's the starting area, that's where I've started, and I've got all of this to see and to explore. So take what I say with a little pinch of salt, but I think I've played enough of the game to be able to give you a good overview and review of the accessibility features. Right, so the way I'm going to do this, guys, is we're here at the accessibility menu, and we're going to go over pretty much each of the accessibility features that I use, and I'm going to explain exactly what they do and how they're useful to start with. So the first one we got is difficulty. Obviously speaks for itself. I've got it on story, which is the easiest difficulty. I haven't really tried it on any harder difficulties, but I'm assuming it will like only affect stuff like, I don't know, harder enemies, like they hit harder, they've got more health, things like that. So for me, I've got it on story because I mainly just want to explore and focus, and because of the lack of a proper auto aim or aim assist, which I'm going to be talking about later, having it on any harder difficulty would just be too annoying for me. Concentration duration. Now, this one, I have it on the longest possible, and this is basically when you're aiming, you can click down the right analog stick to basically slow down time, and the longer you have it, I guess, the longer it will last. So you can basically aim while they're in slow motion. Makes it a lot easier for me to aim at really fast moving targets, because these machines can move really fast sometimes. Auto concentration I have off, but it basically automatically slows down everything while aiming. I have it off just because I like to sort of manually switch it on and to control when I go into slow motion and when I don't, basically. Auto heal automatically heals you, I think, when you're below 50% or something like that. Speaks for itself. Basically, if you've got healing items on you, it will automatically pop the healing items. You know what? I'm going to turn this on just because I want to see how it works. So, quest pathfinding and waypoint pathfinding. There's two options with both of these: guided or explorer. Explorer basically means find it yourself, look around the world, explore, and obviously, you know, investigate stuff, and you'll get to the quest in the end, basically. Guided, basically, all it does is puts waypoints everywhere. So, kind of like in The Last of Us Part 2, where they have the navigational assistance, whereby it won't just show you as the crow flies where to go, it will actually pathfind you towards different objectives. Now, in theory, this is good because it kind of shows you where to go bit by bit, and once you get to, I don't know, one area, which I've arrived at now, the next waypoint will pop up and point you in the next direction. It's really hard to see, to be honest, for me sometimes, because of just all of the vibrant colours of this game. Oh, it's over there somewhere, but it's really hard to see, to be honest, and I end up having to basically keep stopping and looking around and relying on the big map for a lot of the help. A way they could improve this, for example, is to include audio cues in with the directional like waypoint, for example, or even make use of the PlayStation's haptic feedback, whereby if you reach one waypoint, for example, as soon as you reach that waypoint, the controller will vibrate in the direction you're supposed to turn to go towards. So if you have to go forwards, the middle of the controller will vibrate. If you have to go right, the right controller will vibrate, or left, such and such, basically. They could either use the 3D audio as well to just implement like a sonar system, I guess. It's been done in Last of Us 2, and it could be, if not easily, it could be implemented in this game. I guess to be properly implemented, it would have to have been done during the development. I'm not sure if they could patch it in, but they could include some sort of audio navigation system, I think. I don't think it would take that much doing, if you know what I mean. Another thing is, there are sometimes multiple different waypoints going in all sorts of different directions. Depending on how many quests you have activated or active, or if there's a merchant nearby or whatever, and that can be quite confusing sometimes, especially when you're in a densely populated area like a town, or exploring like a cave or a dungeon or something like that. Alright, so the next thing is button layout and customization. I'm assuming you can pretty much customize this however you want. I'm not going to mess with that, to be honest, because that's not anything to do with my disability, but it's nice to see that it's there and available for people who need it. Contextual reminders. Now, I think this is just basically things that pop up that remind you on how to use different abilities and different skills. So I wouldn't call it an accessibility feature, but it's there if you need it, which, you know, fine. Next one is weapon wheel slowdown. So this slows down time, basically, when you bring up your... Let me show you. So when you bring up your weapon wheel and you're in combat, I'll find some machines to fight to show you all of this in a bit. But yeah, it will slow down time, so you've got more than enough time to craft different different ammo, and choose what weapon you want, basically. So I've got it on the slowest time again, because it basically affords me the most opportunity and the most chance to act while I'm fighting machines. Gauntlet run quick time events. Now, I haven't done any quick time events that I've seen, but I've got mine on auto, so they've got the option to either have it a toggle, so you can press a hold, or auto, where it gets completed for you. So if you're visually impaired or blind, you want to just put it on auto, because quick time events are the bane of our existence, and they're horrible. I don't like them. I don't think anyone who's blind or visually impaired likes them, and it's great that we've got an option to automatically have these completed for us. Auto shield wing, I'm assuming deploys the shield wing when you get it, deploys it whenever you jump from a high area, and I can't wait to get the shield wing, actually, because there's been moments where I've been at the top of this giant cliff and I've had no idea how to get down, and I've ended up just either sliding down or just jumping down and dying or losing a lot of health. So I'll probably have this off, because I'm assuming all we have to do to activate the shield wing is like press X or press a button. So it won't be hard, but it's nice to have the auto option for people who need it. Mount follows road. Now, this one is obviously great for anyone who can't really see roads and can't see paths and has trouble, especially at speed when riding mounts and things like that. I'm not sure. I'll have to test whether this works with waypoints or not, or if it just follows the road, because if it works with waypoints, this will be incredible. So, because you just basically jump on a mount, set a waypoint, tell it to follow, and it will go all the way to the waypoint, and you won't have to do anything. That would be great. But if it's just follows road, that's good too, but obviously not as good. Copilot. Now, This for me is quite a controversial sort of option. Um, I'm not mad that it's there. Like, of course not. I think as many accessibility features as possible. I do think, however, it's a little bit of a cop out. Because this basically means that a blind person could jump on Horizon Forbidden West and someone else could have full control of the game, I think. So I think both of the controllers have full control of the game. And one person, I'm assuming, would control all the movement and the aiming, and the visually impaired / blind person would control the shooting and be told when to shoot and when to dodge, I guess, and which way to go, and the other controller will just be sort of helping them. This is good, but I can't help but feel it's a little bit of a cop out, like I said, because they could make this game accessible so easily. They could have included all of the accessibility features available in The Last of Us 2, for example. Like, this game plays the same way. Like, I know it's an open world RPG, and that is completely different in certain ways to The Last of Us 2. But in other ways, it's very, very similar. It has melee combat, it has ranged combat with arrows, and whereas Last of Us 2 has guns, it has bows as well, Last of Us 2 actually. It's a third-person action-adventure game at its heart, basically. So all of the same navigational assistance, auto-aim, narration, magnification, high contrast, all of those settings could have gone into this game and could have made it easy for blind people to play it independently. But instead, they chose not to, for some reason, include all of those features. Or they didn't have time, or they didn't want to spend money, or any number of things why they didn't include these features. And instead they were like, here, have this co-pilot, so that they could say that, yeah, blind people can play this game actually, it is accessible, but only if you're playing it with someone else, which kind of defeats the point for me. Like, I don't want a game to make me feel blind, if you know what I mean. And having co-pilot, having someone there to do stuff for me, and to move for me, and to basically play half the game for me, kind of makes me feel very, very blind. So I'm glad this feature's here for people who want to use it, but it's just not it's not enough for me. When they could have made the game fully accessible, including a co-pilot is just not good enough. They've got an option to switch all holds to toggles, and this is all holds, obviously. That's good for people who need it, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't know much about motor disabilities or physical disabilities to do with hands, but I'm glad it's there. Aim assist. Now, this one is one I've been waiting to get onto ever since I started this video. It was the main thing I've been thinking about, because it really got to me, the way they did this, and I'm going to show you. So the way aim assist works in this game, guys, is completely different to how it works in in any other game that I've seen, to be honest. Whereas in games like Ghost of Tsushima, Ratchet and Clank, even Last of Us 2,
would do a lot of damage.
When you aim, the reticle would sort of magnetically lock on to the enemy, and you'll be able to keep track of them while you're moving and doing stuff. With this, it doesn't do that. So there's no way of you actually locking on to the enemy. The focus does a little bit. So when you focus on them to pick out weaknesses and stuff, it will sort of lock onto them and give you a bit of feedback to say, okay, look, I'm aiming at it now. I don't know if that's aiming at a machine or aiming at something, but it's aiming at something, and you can basically press R2 to tag them, and then you can see them a lot clearer when the focus is off. I think that's a pig that I just aimed at, but when you actually aim at them, which is what I'm going to show you in a second if I can actually get to them, the way the aim assist works is, I don't know, it's because on this game, different machines have like weak points you can target and stuff like that. So
stop it from shooting back.
if you aim at them, and if you're already aiming in that sort of direction, it won't. There's no like lock on or anything. But if you're already aiming at them, the aim assist will lock onto, and the arrows will almost curve to hit the weak points. So it's good in that aspect. But I just wish it would, like, there'd be some sort of lock on. You know what I mean? Like in Ghost of Tsushima. Because when they're moving really fucking fast, and sometimes these machines do move really fast, and some of them fly, so they're coming at you from all different directions. It's really hard. It's really hard to aim, to be honest, unless you... And even when you slow down time, sometimes you can't slow it down enough, or you run out of focus. And yeah, they could fix this easily, because they already have the technology there. They already have the technology there to... Because look, the focus locks on. Like, the focus locks onto different points and stuff, but the arrow doesn't, so you have to... As long as you're aiming at them, you can sort of take them out. Because the bullets will curve and they'll hit them. Oh shit. Okay, now I'm gotta... But okay, look, so I have to slow down time. Oh god, hang on. Do I have to make more arrows? Nope, didn't hit him. It's just every time, it basically means that I'm focusing on my spear a lot more with the melee combat. Because I know that... Come on.
There, machine's holding.
There we go. Right. So that's done now. So you saw basically a quick clip of me trying to take down a machine, and you can see the problems that this sort of aim assist has. Again, I'm not sad that it's there, because at least it's better than nothing, and at least I can, as long as I'm aiming at the creature to begin with, the auto aim handles the rest. But I just wish there'd be a sort of lock-on whereby so for example, if an enemy was there and I was aiming here, it would just snap aim to them and I'd be able to keep track of them while running and jumping and doing other stuff. Because that's what you want to do. You want to feel like a badass. You don't want to feel blind while playing this game. And I think this aim assist makes you feel quite blind, because all you're doing is sort of like trying to aim, trying to hit them, and you end up getting hit a lot and standing still. And yeah, it's not very good, and not as good as it could be very easily, because like I said, the focus has lock on. So when you aim at a robot with focus on, it locks onto the different parts. So all they'd have to do is allow you to do that while actually aiming a weapon. So other options are stuff like auto sprints on foot, auto sprint mount, so you basically don't have to click down anything to sprint or move. You can just move to do it basically. I don't have any of these switched on, so I don't need them. You can swap the sticks around, swap the move and look, which is cool. They have all these sensitivity sliders for aiming and moving and dead zone, which is obviously great for people who need that stuff. Stuff like different vibration intensities and different... It's very customizable, to be honest. Everything from the haptic feedback to the vibration to the sound, all of that stuff. The next one I have switched to a customized setting is motion blur, which I switched to... Well, you can switch it off, but I have it to low, just so it's there, but it doesn't it causes the lowest amount of interference. Camera shake as well, I have it on low. Underwater camera shake, I mean, that's just on and off, so I'm guessing I'll put that off. I didn't see that before. You can switch the camera positioning, I guess, to be over the left shoulder, the right shoulder, whatever you want, pretty much. Climbing annotations always on. This one is something else I have to basically demonstrate. So this game has a form of free climbing, basically, where you can pretty much, well, no, you can't climb everything, but there are loads of places where you can climb, like up rocks, up cliffs, different things. And usually you'd have to basically click down the right analog stick and it would reveal different paths that you could climb up. But with climbing annotations always on, with that accessibility feature activated, they're always revealed basically, and they look like sort of like bright lines, almost sort of burned into the rock, and they glow, so you can see that if you jump on these lines and follow them round, it reveals a clear path on how to climb up. This is a really good feature, to be honest, for people who are visually impaired. Obviously it does nothing for blind people because they can't see them anyway, and this game has no actual navigational assistance, but for people who have a visual impairment and they need to, basically they need a little bit more help in just distinguishing things, having a bit more higher contrast, this is perfect, to be honest, because it's quite subtle, but it's always it's there and it's noticeable. Under some sort of conditions, it can be quite hard to see, especially if it's like really sunny and really bright. Basically, the lines can be quite hard to see, which is I personally like playing the game at night time, so I go to like a campfire and switch the game to night time because things like that stand out so much clearer at night. And then you got stuff like music volume, different volume, sound volume, blah de da de da, basically all the different sliders you need to make things louder or quieter, or turning off tinnitus sounds or tinnitus sounds, however it's pronounced. They're sort of like screechy sounds that the machines can make to that can be, harmful to some people. Then you got subtitles, subtitle size, subtitle background, the usual malarkey, text language that's dimmed for some reason, speech and something language. So that's all of the accessibility features, guys. I expected a lot more. I expected a lot more than we got, but I also got a lot more than... There's a lot more in this game that is accessible than meets the eye, for example. That's what I'm going to talk about now. I'm going to talk about some of the good points of this game. First and foremost, obviously, if you're completely blind, can you play this game? No, you can't. Not on your own. You can with a co-pilot and with someone helping you. Yeah, sure, but I don't like playing games like that, and I don't think that's a solution, to be honest. You can't just be like, well, if you're blind, just have someone else to co-pilot the whole bloody game for you, when you have all of the resources there. Like Sony as a first party Sony studio that has had plenty of time with the pandemic, with the delays. It's had plenty of time to add many accessibility features. I think they said with The Last of Us 2 it added 3 months to the development cycle to add all of those accessibility features in. And I'm just like, this game has had way more than 3 months of delays. So it had more than enough time to implement many accessibility features. And it didn't. So I don't know. Maybe this game was already completely fully developed and they just sort of thought about accessibility towards the end, or maybe they just didn't want to. Like, that is also an option. Maybe they were just like, nah, we can't be bothered with it. We'll add the basics and they'll have to deal with it. But either way, the overall point is that this game is lacking in major areas, like navigational assistance for one. That is the most important thing to make a game blind friendly or visually impaired friendly. You need some sort of navigational assistance, and this game has the waypoint pathfinding, it has it, as I showed earlier, but it just doesn't use any audio cues or haptic feedback or anything that the PlayStation has in its arsenal, in many arsenal of tools. It doesn't use any of them to actually indicate which way to go, which is sad, to be honest, because this game has a lot of good features. Like, one main thing that immediately stands out to me is the loot on the ground. It's indicated by like a big bright line and a diamond pattern, or a upside down triangle pattern for resources, and it's very, very clear to see. You can see it through walls. If you scan for it, you can know it's sort of high contrast. You can see immediately that it's there, and you can pick it up, and the writing is clear. You can clearly read and see what the text is saying if you're visually impaired, because the writing is big and bold, and yeah, it's great. Also, another good thing I wanted to talk about, this game's map has a lot of contrast, basically, is what I want to say, between the icons and the background, and some places it looks a little bit busy. For example, like where was it? This sort of area where there's just a lot going on in the background. There's a lot of lines and stuff, and it's hard for me to make out, but it locks on again to different icons. So they understand the concept of lock on, because they use it for the focus, and they use it for this map. If you get near it, it locks onto something and it shows you what it is underneath your stash. You press triangle to go back to where Aloy is, where your main character is. So the map is great. It has this big, nice crosshair, which means I never lose it. I can see exactly where where the crosshair is on the map, what it's pointing at. The quest markers are like big diamonds that stand out. It's a very good map, or at least it's better than a lot of other maps I've seen in games like this. It reminds me a little bit of the Ghost of Tsushima map, I guess. Another area where this game shines is just the contrast in the menus for me, is great. Like, there's not been any writing where I've been like, oh, I can't read that because the background's too low contrast, or you know, I can't see what skill I'm upgrading. All of the skills, I can use the PlayStation's magnifier to like zoom in and read what they are, recover concentration, blah blah blah. Yeah, it's all very clear and very like discernible. It's not busy at all. You're able to see and track all of your quests very clearly. Even the collectibles, the inventory, everything, right? Everything is very, very clear. All it's missing is a bloody narrator. So this game does have a lot going for it in terms of accessibility, and there's certain things that are just there in the background that are not even counted as accessibility, but that are, in my opinion, such as the loot drops on the floor and the map, the different contrast on the map and on the quests and stuff. But in other areas, this game is very, very lacking. They could have at least done right in like Spider-Man and in Marvel Spider-Man and in Ratchet and Clank, right? They at least had an accessibility feature which was called Look at Waypoint, where you could literally click down one of the analog sticks and it would point you to where you want to, like, where the next waypoint is. And that with the pathfinding would have made this game actually reasonably accessible for visually impaired people if they just gave us the option to click a button and look at the waypoint, like in Ratchet and Clank, like in Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales. They wanted to take it even further. They could have included Last of Us 2 style audio navigation, which literally, in my opinion, can be copied and pasted onto this game, because I just think it works. It works the same way, right? You're in third person, you're running around. There's no reason why you can't use audio pathfinding on this. They just didn't think of it, I guess. And with the aim assist, guys, I'm glad it's there again, but they could have made it easily so much better by include this aim assist. Of course, the way, like, you don't have to aim at all the different canisters and stuff on the bodies of the machines. You just aim at them. That's cool, that works, that's fine, but just include a lock-on. where you know, there's machines running around and you can't see where it's going, and you're trying to move both analog sticks and aim at them at the same time, and it's getting very busy and very, you know, just have a lock on, like in Ghost of Tsushima, or like in Ratchet and Clank, or like in Last of Us 2, or like in Spider-Man, or like in pretty much every first-party Sony game that has come out. Have an aim assist, an auto-aim, where you can lock on, and you can, just by holding L2, you can follow these creatures as they fly around, and then you have more time, and it makes you feel like more of a badass, and it doesn't make you feel as blind. Because if there's one thing that this game has made me feel as I've been playing it, it's really like, there's games where you have auto aim and you know, you're at least partaking in the combat, and you know, you're feeling like a badass as you play it. But this game just makes me feel so blind as I play it, because I'm just trying to keep track of all the enemies and all the stuff as it's happening, and then I just end up defaulting to like melee attacks, because I know that's close range, and I can hear where I've got 3D audio headphones on, I can hear where the monsters are, so I just run in that direction and I just smack them with the, you know. But that doesn't always work, because there's certain bosses where you have to hit with arrows, and there's certain enemies where you have to weaken them with arrows first before you can move in. So all in all, guys, I will say that like this game is great. Like, this game is amazing. You can tell, obviously, first party Sony exclusives, they don't mess around. Like, they don't release half-baked games, they don't release unpolished games. This game is polished to the point of perfection. Every little blade of grass, every tree, even all the way to the mountains and things like that in the distance, for example, that you can actually go to areas that you can see in the far distance that are all, you know, blurred out. Like, I could climb to the top of that mountain there and there'd be something to explore, and there's something around every corner. You can just walk and eventually you'll find something to do. It's amazing. It's great. I just wish they would have paid more attention, or they would have shown the same attention to detail that they did with everything else with the accessibility, because I'm sorry, but it just seems like it was done very lazily, extremely lazily, to be honest. And I said this on Twitter the first time I opened this game and played an hour of it. I went on Twitter and I was like, okay, here's everything that's wrong with this game that I can immediately poke out. I didn't obviously see any of the good bits because I hadn't played for that long, but now that I've played for a good few hours, I can see that there are a lot of good bits to this game and a lot of accessible things, but there's also a lot that's lacking, and that's just baffling to me why they thought, for example, that this aim assist would be fine, where you pretty much already have to be aiming at the monster or the enemy or whatever for the aim assist to work. So they're excluding a lot of blind people from playing their game. Just kill this pig. Because of the lock on, and there's a lot to think about when you got moving around and aiming and scanning, and there's a lot to think about here, and someone with very low vision is going to have a lot of trouble playing this game, and someone who is blind and not using Copilot, it's going to be impossible for them to play this game. Like, utterly impossible. Well, with that being said, guys, brings me to the end of this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I hope I don't seem too pessimistic, because honestly, I was expecting a lot better from this game. Maybe I got spoiled with the likes of The Last of Us 2 and Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank, and I was like, and Ghost of Tsushima. I was like, wow, you know, Sony are really pushing this accessibility and really making moves and pretty much showing up all of the other industry with games like Ubisoft that just pretend to have visual accessibility, slap in a half-baked narrator and call their game accessible, and win awards when their games are just terrible and unplayable. Sony's been showing up the gaming industry. Honestly, they've been leading the way with accessibility. And then this game comes out, and it's just like they've taken, almost like they've taken like 10 steps back, and we're seeing 2017-18 Sony again with this game, who basically go like, oh, you know, the game's nearly finished. Oh shit, accessibility. Let's just let's just slap on a few things and not even have a proper auto aim, which has really got to me. But anyway, that's been me. That's been my thoughts. If you like them, obviously like the video. If you don't like them, please comment down below. I want to have a discussion. What do you think of this? Yeah, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. I'm going to be covering a lot more games on here very soon. Elden Ring next week. I can't wait. And yeah, guys, see you next time. Bye.